this is Steve Stine from GuitarZoom. If you've seen any of my videos on Facebook or YouTube or anything like that, where I talk about creating effective guitar solos, what I want you to understand is it doesn't matter whether or not you want to play blues or rock or pop or metal or anything in between. The most important thing is thinking about the elements or the tools that you're using to create those guitar solos. You know, things like groove or feel, melody, emotion, aggressiveness for some people. You know, the most important thing is you're going to be using some or all of these elements depending on what kind of solo you want and what you want to portray. You know, some solos tend to be much more emotional and they have a lot of melody, and some solos tend to be more aggressive, trying to sort of push the technical aspect of playing. And it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you're aware of these and you're trying to create the best sounding solo that you can create for your listener. So what I want to do is I want to break down a few steps that I use in creating guitar solos. And the first thing I want you to understand is that it's really important that you have a good understanding of your fretboard. We can call it a roadmap, which is really being able to see the scales that you're going to be using, whether it's pentatonic or diatonic or anything like that. I actually have a course called Unlocking the Fretboard that talks about both pentatonic across the entire fretboard and diatonic scales across the entire fretboard. And the reason is because a lot of people, when they play, they tend to get stuck in one position. So, you know, they might be using, there's a technique I refer to as meandering. And what that is where you're really just trying to move around the fretboard, looking for something to create. So instead of just starting off thinking, well, I have to play lick 17 and lick 24 and lick 32, and that's all I know, you kind of start moving around finding something, right? So you... whatever it might be. Now, if I was playing, for instance, in A minor pentatonic, I might know that first position, but I don't really know the other ones. Maybe I've dabbled in them a little bit, but I don't really know them enough to be able to be confident enough to be able to just freely move across my fretboard and start finding some cool things to do. And that really is a huge limitation on your playing. Now, you might not know all the positions of all the scales that you're trying to learn, but I guarantee you the more confident you are with the positions that you do know, the more creative you can get. So let's say you're playing A minor pentatonic and you've got this first position here, right? And that's all you really know. Well, if you were to attach, for instance, the second position onto it, it'd give you a lot more options of things that you could do. Now, again, that just keeps expanding, right? So we learn the second position and the third position and so on. And pretty soon, when we go to solo over a particular song or create a solo, write a solo, whatever it might be, we can look down at our fretboard and go, instead of thinking, I have to start here because this is all I know, we can think, where do I want this to begin, right? If I'm coming from a more subtle approach to my guitar solo, I might start a little bit lower and then start building my way up. If I want to punch right into my guitar solo, I might decide to start higher up and start building from there. So for me, one of the most important things that you could possibly do for yourself is really start connecting the dots across the fretboard with your pentatonic scales and your diatonic scales, and give yourself the creative freedom to move wherever it is you want to go. Now, once you've done that, and you've started planning this, right? Let's say you've got 3 positions now of the pentatonic that you're working with or whatever it might be. The next step is, once you've started exploring moving around, one of the really cool things that you can do is learn how to start really singing on your fretboard, on your guitar, excuse me. And what do I mean by singing? Well, singing can be a few different things. Number one, singing can be utilizing vocal techniques like vibrato, right? And bending to give your guitar more of that vocal sound. And the next thing to really start thinking about from there when it comes to singing is learning how to phrase. And what phrasing really means is you're learning how and when to start playing and stop playing and where to start and where to stop and all those sorts of different things. So it doesn't just sound like a scale. That's the most important thing, is you're not just playing through and everything just sounds like you're playing a scale. You start breaking things apart to give them more of a human reflection when you play. Whatever it might be that you like to do. You might not just be playing pentatonic. You might be playing diatonic, so you're looking for something a little more... whatever it might be. But learning how to phrase is really important. And I've got a course called The Keys to Great Phrasing, which is going to help you a lot with that as well. In just learning how to think about that a little bit, learn to break those things down a little bit. So first thing we've got is the building of confidence with our fretboard, being able to see our fretboard. Okay. The second thing is as we're learning how to move and meander across this fretboard, we start breaking these ideas down into smaller pieces and giving them more of a human element, which is really, really important. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get in there and we're going to start trying to make some guitar licks. Now, licks are always really nice to have. I don't base my solos completely on knowing guitar licks. I tend to use exactly what I'm talking about with you right now, is a construction of my fretboard, so I have all this freedom to go where I want, and once I get there, I can decide to implement a particular guitar lick at that point. So let's say, again, I'm soloing an A, and I've got this thing going, and I'm building some movement. Right? And then all of a sudden I decide I want a guitar lick. So that's where I move into something that repeats, right? That's really what a guitar lick is something that the ear catches and goes, hey, that's really neat. So, I'm in the first position or I'm in the third position or whatever, and I decide I'm going to throw some guitar licks in there to sort of break up this movement that I've got, this phrasing that I've got. Guitar licks are absolutely essential. They're one part of many different parts, but it's really important that you think about that. I have a course called 36 rock licks that can help you a lot with that. And they're not just rock licks, they're actually rock licks that can be used as blues, they can be used in country situations and all sorts of different things. But the cool thing about having some really effective licks, and the most important thing for you, is finding the right licks, right? Even out of 36 rock licks, you might find 10 of them that really kind of rise to the top, that make sense to you, and they're really effective in your playing. And then you might find, 5 or 10 of them that really aren't you, or they don't really pertain to who you are at this point in your guitar playing, and that's okay. I mean, as long as you've got these other ones that you can rely on that really are kind of life-changing for you, that are things that you've never thought of before, and now you can actually use them when you improvise or when you're writing songs, that's crucial. And you might come back later, you might come back 6 months from now and go, boy, I need some more guitar licks. And you just grab some more and you keep going. Now, this is where it gets really cool for me, is when you learn how to play a lick, what I learned how to do a long time ago that was really effective was taking guitar licks and then turning them into what I refer to as patterns, or what guitar players call patterns. And what a pattern really is taking the idea of a guitar lick and expanding it to get more mileage out of it. Plus, it sounds really cool. So let's say I was doing something like this, and I had I'm going to show you just this guitar lick here. So I'm playing 8-5 as a pull-off on the second string, then I'm going to 7, then back to the 5, okay, then I'm going back to the 8, and then I'm going to go to the 5 here, and then I'm just going to do a pull-off from 8 to 5 again on the second string. So I have, and I just keep doing that, and I create a lick out of it, right? Now, let's say I took that idea, but I created a pattern out of it, and this is really cool. So what I'm going to do is take that idea, and I'm actually going to play, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it down here onto the 5th string in the A minor pentatonic, and it's going to look like this. But watch this. If I take that now and I just move it towards the floor, one string each time, I get this. So now I get this sound. And you get more of a pattern idea. And it sounds really neat. And again, it breaks up all the other things that we've been talking about. Not that one is better than the other, they're not. They all work in conjunction with each other. So you've got this construction of your fretboard that you're moving across the guitar, and you're finding places to go and create melody, which is what phrasing is all about. So you're moving in and you're looking at phrasing. And then what you do is you start grabbing some cool guitar licks, depending on where you are on the fretboard and the kind of emotion or aggressiveness or feel that you want to create. And then if you need something that pushes you to the next level, you grab some patterns from those guitar licks. And it's just a really great way of being able to approach a guitar solo. Now, the last thing I want to tell you about is another course I have. It's called The Ultimate Practice Routine. And I'm telling you, it's really important for you to optimize your time, because if you're like most people, you only have so much time in a day to practice. And what I want you to really be, understand is to be able to, let's say you have 15 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour or whatever it might be, to truly optimize that time with the elements that are most important to your practice for the best benefit, right? The biggest gain. That's what we're looking for. An Ultimate Practice Routine, I think, does a really incredible job of that, of teaching you what to practice and how to practice so you're not wasting your time on a daily basis or a weekly basis or whatever it might be. Because limitations of your fingers, your picking ability, all those kind of things, the synchronization of your hands, all of those things really can inhibit the things that we're talking about here and your ability to just let your fingers fly and do whatever it is you want to do on the fretboard. So think about it, starting with the understanding of the fretboard and ending with being able to develop some really great practice routines so you really start optimizing your practice time and your ability on this instrument is just absolutely crucial. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and this helps you a little bit. Now, everything you're interested in is going to be available below, along with more details about all of this stuff. So I want to take just a moment and say thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you again soon in another video, I am sure. So have fun, stay positive, and I'll talk to you soon.